Can you explain the different kinds of shading? Sure, I mean, yeah, I can try to. Let me think a little bit how I can explain it best. Okay, well the thing is, there's not really different, there's like no official different kind of shading, right? Officially, there's not really any different kinds of shading. It's really all stylistic choice. So just the artist's style, honestly. Here, I can try to explain it. I'll pull up another document. So I know like a lot of artists struggle with how to shade, right? How to improve shading. So probably, this is what I'm guessing. When you think of shading, you think of like, you have a sphere, and then, right, this is like the darkest part of the sphere. The light's coming from that direction. And then gets a little lighter. Something like that, right? And then you have the shadow. But, what shading is fundamentally, it's just a change of value. So it's something, change of value meaning something's darker in some parts and something's brighter in some parts, right? So like the darkest part of the sphere, if we take a look at the color picker here, it's all the way down here near the darker side of the color. And then as we go to lighter parts, it travels up toward the white, lighter area, right? And that's all that shading is. Tell me if something doesn't make sense, because I'll try to explain it better. So when I'm talking about styles of shading, it's all about how artists choose to use this concept of darker colors in some parts and lighter colors in other parts. How an artist decides to use that concept to their individual taste. Let me pull up some examples. So someone might want to go with really realistic shading. So maybe this isn't the best example, but let's just say something that resembles a photo or like real life better. Oh, this one is really good actually. Here's a really good example. This one looks better, right? So something that if you don't pay too much attention to it, you're like, is that a photo? Kind of shading, right? But then to the other spectrum, we have like anime-styled cell shading, which I was talking about earlier. Let me find something cell shading. If you search up cell shading tutorials, like this, on Twitter or Pinterest or Google, you'll find a lot of really good tutorials on how you can imitate a cell shading style. So cell shading style is something like this. This. So there's a lot less variation. So if we take a color picker, there's a lot of changes in value. It like jumps all over the place. But for a cell shaded picture, it's like this is all pretty much one color. This is all pretty much the same color. The shadows here are very similar color, and so on and so forth. So there's less drastic variation. And then there's some shading that's like semi-realistic. Yume's art is more semi-realistic, I would say. It kind of matches with the style too, if you notice. Like the realistic shading usually goes with realistic art, Semi-realistic shading goes with the semi-realistic art, and so on and so forth. But you might see a combination once in a while. There's different methods of shading things. So most common ways of shading things, there's crosshatching. So that's where you just make lines. And the more lines you put in one area, the darker it'll get, because you're getting rid of all these little white spaces with your lines, right? And the places with less lines are lighter. So that's one method which you might see in some artwork, and it's called crosshatching. And there's another method which is more just like you take a crayon and you fill in the dark parts and you fade out to the lighter parts. So those are probably the two main things you'll see. And sometimes, especially with manga, they will combine those two methods. So there'll be maybe something shaded gray and then they add little lines to emphasize where the shadow is, right? This is my favorite way to draw. Like if you see here, I don't think I did it. Oh, here, right? Like right in this area, I drew a line here, and then to make it darker, I just drew some lines to fill it in. So that's an example of using crosshatching. Yeah, crosshatching. So when you say you get better at, you want to get better at shading, I'm assuming you mean just like after you draw, I don't know, let's say you draw like I'm gonna draw a face because that's all I can draw. That's all I can really draw. But let's say, well, we make Killua. I don't know how to draw Killua hair. Killua hair? Question mark? Kind of Killua? Anyway, enough kidding around. So we have Killua hair. And oops. So we have the base color, right? So let's say Killua hair is light blue. Even though it's white. Hush hush. Just to make my point more clear. So we take our handy dandy color picker and you'll see the colors located right here, right? So when shading, if you want to make things darker, that means you want to darken the value. The easiest way to see this is with, if you try to think of everything in terms of black and white, even though this is color, if its corresponding black and white value would just be white. We're just dragging this color all the way to the left, right? So this would be white. You can't see it because it's white on white. And then let me make the background gray actually. It'll be easier to explain that way. Yeah, there we go. So you can see the white now. Awesome. So we're taking this color, we drag it to the left, it's white. And when shading, if you want to make something darker, which I was saying, you want to bring down this black and white value down further into black, right? So we have white. If we want to make something darker, we have to go down. So let's bring it to there. So its value right now is this gray color. Let's add color back into that black and white value. Over here, right? Here is its corresponding color value. So let's add this darker color to where the shadows should be. And this is a good example of cell shading. It's very simple, just two values. And the more values we add to here, so this corresponding value is here, right? The more we add, and we can use different colors as well, but always thinking about the corresponding black and white value here. more variation we add, the further away it goes from cell shading, and it goes more into something else. This is still looking pretty cell shaded, but that's the basic idea. And I think the final thing that might be helpful is that something people forget a lot when they're doing shading, and again, this is a stylistic choice. A lot of people don't change the line color, the color of the line art, but in lighter parts of the drawing, the lines should be lighter as well, and in places where the value is darker, where there's shadow, you can, if there's reflective light, the line art is a little lighter. If there's no reflective light, it should just be dark. So this drawing is more cell shaded. If you want an exercise to help you pick out these changes in value better, I mean, the easiest exercise is kind of boring, but it's basically to draw an egg or a ball and try to shade it. Black and white drawings, it's really easy to see the value change. After that, it's just a matter of practice, to be honest. Do you use reference? If you use reference, it's really good practice. Like if you were trying to imitate this, you don't use a color picker, you just try to do it based on your eye, like how it kind of looks to you. You don't color pick it. And then after trying to eyeball it, then you can go back and double check and see how close you were. Looks like I didn't make it dark enough, right? Not much reference, which I should. Yeah, the fastest way to improve is to use reference. It's not always fun, but if your goal is to improve, reference is the way to go. For sure, for sure. And like the one guy I recommend for anatomy, there's a YouTuber, I always recommend this dude. You might have already heard about him, Ethan Becker. Look for their videos on anatomy and improving drawing bodies. That's my recommendation. Like, if I don't want to just repeat what he's saying. If your goal is to have fun, you know, whatever, who needs reference? Me being salty. Who needs a reference if you just want to have fun? One quick tip for shadows. Actually, 2 tips. I have 2 tips for shadows. 2 tips for you. So one thing people don't notice sometimes is that the inside of a shadow is always lighter than the outside. It did help. Okay, that's great. So the inside of shadow, I'm using a slightly lighter color here. It's always slightly lighter than the outside of the shadow. It's really interesting. And I don't know why exactly, that's just the way it is. But it will make your drawings look better if you keep that in mind. Also, right here, where the darkest core shadow of an object is, there's often a warmer color right there for some reason. I don't know why, but if you pay attention to a lot of illustrators, they will add a warmer color right here. Yeah, that's all for my shading tutorial. As you see, I fixed my ears a bit. Anyway, if you enjoyed that video, please subscribe and come check out my Twitch. I stream there every week on Saturday. and check out the rest of my channel, and hope you have a wonderful, amazing day. Let me know what was helpful for you or what other tips you would like to see from me so that I can make those tutorials and videos for you. Anyway, have a good day, please. Bye.